Excellent.
Nice.
Reviews. Look how on top of things reviews by Gary is.
What?
He's already saw that I have
nice.
larger size shirts on my store now.
Awesome.
All right, I think we're live again.
Oh boy.
99% of chat has no idea what side A and side B means. That is probably the truth. We didn't give the explanation at the beginning of the show.
Right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome, or welcome back, or welcome just a moment ago to Awesome Hardware, which is a live show that Kyle and I do once a week on Tuesday evenings on our Twitch channel, Awesome Hardware. Now, the show is split into two halves because there's two of us, and we both have our own channels, and we wanted to be able to give you guys... No, we wanted to give you guys twice of the show. That's why. That's why there's two. So we have twice as much show. So if you missed the first half of this show, you can check it out over on Kyle's channel. That is youtube.com/Awesome Sauce News, or you can search for Awesome Sauce Network, which is what his channel's really called. Right? I got that right?
Shut up.
Okay.
No one knows that.
No one knows? Okay.
It's a dark time.
We're going to talk about some tech news today, some additional tech news that we didn't talk about on Kyle's show. Actually, the good tech news that we saved for my side of the show.
Whatever.
We're also going to do a sword fight because that's become so popular. And then we also have a new segment that I've come up. And at the end of this, we're going to do some Q&A. So feel free. Yes, Kyle, that's lovely. Lovely what you have going on down there. So feel free to send us some Twitter questions at our Twitter handles, which should be located down here, or ask us some questions in Twitch chat. And on with the show. Actually, no, not on with the show. We have some announcements. And I also forgot that I have none of my stories queued up. So Kyle, can you start off? No, Kyle, I have something you can tell people about.
What's that?
The announcement about my store. Actually, talk about both of our stores.
Your store. Okay, so wait, what's the news on your store?
The news on my store,
just that it exists now,
is that I now have larger size shirts on my store.
Okay, so what did you have before? Did you have?
All I had was extra small. That was the only size.
Are you serious? Okay, I was just kidding. Jesus.
I'm just kidding. Here's my store.
No one is extra small.
This was supposed to be temporary, by the way. This picture of me looking silly and the stupid things. I just haven't updated it. All right, so this is my store, and there's now there's larger size shirts. So it went up to 2XL before, and I think now I have 3 and 4X, and maybe even 5X.
Oh, wow.
At least in the black and the darker gray. So check those out, guys. If I didn't have your size before, maybe I do now. And Kyle's store also is there, and you can buy shirts there. But I think he doesn't like anyone who's 3X or 4XL. So
no, I definitely have 3XLs.
You do have 3XL?
Yes, I do have 3XLs.
Okay.
In fact, those are the first ones that sold out.
I was the callous bastard who never did that from the get-go.
That's right.
Okay.
You should be very ashamed of yourself.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
We have another announcement, but actually, Kyle, can you kill about 20 seconds?
You do your thing, Paul. You do your thing. I'll take over your half of the show. No worries.
No worries.
I think your wife's home.
Oh, good.
I heard someone pull up. All right. So basically, our other announcement, besides going to our stores and buying a shirt there, there is going to be a pretty sweet live stream going on tomorrow on twitch.tv/iTheGreek. You can find a really great stream that's going on at 7 p.m. Central Time, where Josh, our good buddy Josh, our beloved friend Josh, God bless his soul, from Fractal Design, will actually be doing a discussion with iTheGreek, where they talk about how to approach a vendor. Now, this is specifically targeted at people who are looking to start their own YouTube channels, or independent YouTube partners like me and Paul, or whether you're a tech blogger or a tech tuber in general. They're going to be discussing topics like how to approach vendors in regards to obtaining review samples, which can be very intimidating at first for some people who aren't very used to it. It's like, oh, how do I ask this person for a review sample? I want to do a video on it. They're going to be talking about a lot of that stuff, as well as Josh is going to open up the forum for a Q&A. We're going to have a nice little open forum so they can talk about a multitude of different conversations and topics as well. So be sure to tune into that. Once again, 7 p.m. tomorrow Central Time at twitch.tv/iTheGreek.
Yes, vendors are naturally skittish, so that's why it helps to be careful and sensitive as you approach them. Okay, I have one last announcement, and it's just to say that I was right. You're
never right.
In the last show that we did, I mentioned something about Kickstarter, because we were talking about Kickstarter, and I said that only about a third of Kickstarter games actually deliver on their promise.
I remember that. Yeah.
Of doing stuff, and I actually, after the show, I was like, man, I hate saying stuff like that and not really knowing for sure if it was right or not. So I looked it up, and I found this article. This actually article is referencing another article, which is somewhere else, and they broke it down and proves that I'm right. Anyway.
Good job, Paul.
Thank you.
GG.
All right, moving on to continuing news section. So my news is all kind of kept and contained in GDC coverage, and not even just GDC, but also VR, which seems to be all they're really talking about at GDC so far. So we're going to start off with the story about AMD, which has announced something called Liquid VR. This is AMD's push into virtual reality. Now, this is not AMD coming out with their own VR headset. That was kind of the first thought I had when I saw the title of the article. Okay. I was like, oh, really? Not everyone. No. This is a software thing. So this is a software development kit 1.0, which allows more, according to the demo here, or the image they have, efficient GPU head tracking, asynchronous shaders for latency and stuttering as you're moving your display around and looking at different elements of what's going on around you, better multi-GPU support, as well as direct-to-display technology to minimize lag and latency and drag and all that kind of stuff. So I was happy to read about this. For one thing, I think VR is the future, to some degree at least, as we discussed last week. But also, I like that AMD is kind of diving into this game, because AMD historically has they've shown a lot of affinity and a lot of support for developing software, and I think they've done a lot of work, like more with open source, for example, like whereas NVIDIA has gone the CUDA route, which is a little bit more walled garden. AMD has done a lot more support for like OpenCL and that sort of thing. So I like seeing this. And the other thing about VR is that, or VR or just hardware in general, is that software development is often one of the most difficult things when it comes to that.
True.
And I know a lot of the hardware companies that I work with will tell you that. NVIDIA is one that's also said that many times. They have way more software developers now than they do hardware developers or engineers. Right. So that's very important, and anything that can get or that can ease the ability to actually develop software and things to do with the VR headsets is a very important part. There's been a lot of focus on the hardware itself, which we're going to get to in just a moment. But I like that there's also this push from AMD. They're a big company. And
so is Liquid VR specifically AMD's thing, or is this like just is this more of an open source type thing?
This is AMD's software development kit.
Gotcha.
So somebody can get the software development kit and use it to develop their own software. Cool. So some of the things that they said at this is all from GDC, of course. So they said you can plug an Oculus Rift into a computer and start 3D rendering directly to the headset without the Oculus SDK.
Oh, nice.
So
That's
do you remember,
versatile.
Did you do Steve's Oculus dev kit too?
Yeah, it was there.
So like he had to load up the software and everything to get it to work properly. So you could bypass that. So it's their own development for working with that. And then also, since it's AMD and not necessarily specific to Oculus, you would assume that they're developing this with as broad an application as possible, so that they can work not just with Oculus, but also this slew of new VR projects that have come up in the past 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and a year.
That's exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I should invest in like a dev kit.
Yeah. So what this will allow you to do is, like, this is some of those kind of in between things that it comes with hardware development that you don't necessarily think of right off the bat. Right. Like, for instance, right now, if you take an Oculus, at least, and probably the other ones too, and you plug it into a computer, it recognizes it as another monitor. Okay. And then you have to, use the Oculus software in order to arrange that. Right. What this will allow you to do is plug it in, and then it doesn't see another monitor. It says, "Oh, that's an Oculus VR."
That's awesome.
VR kit. This is the.
That's a huge move forward. Yeah. That's a huge step.
This is the stuff that goes on beneath the surface that it's not very exciting to talk about, but it's all that kind of thing that makes stuff more seamless. It makes it easier to work with, and that makes it like plug and play. So again, maybe not the most exciting thing to just talk about, but
behind the scenes.
But yeah, it's
that should be a segment. Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. That could be. We could.
We should have a curtain.
We have so many ideas for new segments. We should have a list of them.
We're drowning
in a list of them. All right, moving on to my next story. This is also from GDC 2015, which is ongoing, by the way. So we're only in I think it started yesterday, but there wasn't a whole lot. There was some stuff today. There's more stuff this evening. There's more stuff starting very soon, actually. And then there's like 2 or 3 more days of it. So you're going to be seeing more stuff coming out this week. But let's talk about Sony a little bit. Now, if any of you are cringing right now because I'm talking about Sony, well, give me a minute. So this is Project Morpheus. This was one of the things. When did they come out with this? CES? Was that it? People were kind of surprised that Sony was working on their own VR headset. But it's called Project Morpheus. So they've talked about it a little bit more at GDC. They've set a at least vague launch date of first half of 2016. There's a picture of it. Looks kind of cool, and it's got these blue LEDs. But it's got some new specs and just some refreshed information. So it's a 1920 by 1080 OLED display on this. So for a moment, just ignore the PlayStation 4 side of this. Let's just focus on the VR headset.
Yeah.
So 1920 by 1080 OLED display, 120 hertz refresh rate. This was in the live blog of this. This was actually met by cheers from the crowd that they said 120 hertz refresh rate.
That's
because
huge.
That is what Scott Wasson has been talking about recently. That's what a lot of people have been talking about recently. It's not just higher resolution, but it's better pixels, and refresh rate is one of those things. So 120 hertz. Now,
what's Oculus at?
What?
What's Oculus at?
I don't know, but I think it's 60. But honestly, I'm not sure.
Okay.
So maybe somebody in chat can point that out. 1920 by 1080. They made the screen a little bit bigger. It's 5.7 inch, and it's got a 100-degree field of view. They've reduced the latency down to 18 milliseconds, which is kind of in that range of good.
Right.
Like you don't want to be above 20-ish, 25-ish, I think. They increased the amount of LED sensors on the outside of the headset, so it has more points of articulation to be measured by the PS4 camera. And then they said they're going to talk about this a little bit more coming at E3. Now, if you've been listening to me saying all this stuff and saying, like, who gives a rat's ass because it's for the PlayStation 4, you're probably right to some degree. However, if I may play devil's advocate, I think there's certain elements of this development that could be the right thing and could show Sony taking or at least heading in a direction with this that might be very positive. Right. For one thing, it's Sony, and they got the PlayStation 4, and they have a huge network of games and everything. You know, they're a big player in the industry. Right. But some of the specs on this, and sort of considering how it would be used with the PS4, kind of reminds me of like what Nintendo did. Like Nintendo for the past 10, 15 years, I'm giving a vague date, but Nintendo for quite a while hasn't really cared too much about the graphics in their games. The systems they've launched have not been incredibly powerful. But they focused on gameplay elements and actually making really fun games. And granted, there's a lot of criticism we could throw at Nintendo as well. But when it comes to the gameplay side, there's reasons why people buy a Nintendo for Zelda, or for the newest Mario Zelda. Kart. They're fun games to play, and there's good teams behind them developing. So I could possibly see this being something where, yes, it's made to work with the PlayStation 4, but if the games they develop for this are less graphically intensive and they're more focusing on giving you a nice, seamless, high refresh rate virtual reality experience, then that could be something more along the lines of what Nintendo has done, which is get it out to more people, allow more people to use it. And granted, you're not going to see all the massive explosions and depth of field and
I think of all the backers behind VR, I think Sony would be the one most capable of getting it out to a wider distribution of people, because they've already done it with the PS4 and their whole PlayStation line in the past. Like I think they have the edge in that one arena. As far as distribution. And I've also gotten confirmation from the chat. Looks like Oculus Rift is at a steady 90 hertz.
90 hertz. Okay.
Yeah. So definitely a huge step up. I mean, that's probably noticeable for some people.
Yeah. Now the limiting factor here, and the other side of my positive thoughts on this, is they're touting 120 hertz refresh rate, but I know the PlayStation 4 only has HDMI 1.4.
Right.
So what are we talking here? Are we looking at like the frame doubling or tripling or quadrupling? Are they doing interpolation in order to get that 120 hertz? And they're saying, oh, it's 120 hertz, but really from the source,
it's true motion refresh rate.
True motion, or some of the BS that they do on the TVs. They're like, oh, it's got a 480 hertz refresh on it or whatever. That would kind of suck. According to the article, the demos they're running, we're running at that, and it's hard to say. So I don't know if this would require a PlayStation 4 upgrade add-on or something like that, or like a PlayStation 4 revision 2.
Right.
Which, honestly, I could see both of the console makers doing at this point just to get that 4K out there. Because that's one thing. Anyone who talks about 4K will mention, oh, you know what I forgot to do is switch back to us while we were talking. That's one thing that anyone will tell you anytime they say, oh, you know, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One can do 4K. We'll be quick to remind you that's only at 30 hertz.
Right.
And that you probably aren't going to be able to play much games on it. All right, one more story from GDC.
Okay.
This one is about Valve. Valve was another one who...
Another Valve story. Nice.
Yes. So this is the other part of your Valve story.
Oh, right, right.
So Valve has also announced a VR headset. This came last week, I believe. And they have actually partnered with HTC, so HTC is manufacturing it in collaboration with Valve.
Cool.
It's called the HTC Vive. Is it Vive? Or
Vive.
Vive?
Well, is there an accent above the E?
There's no accent on the E, so I'm going to say it must be Vive.
For sure, Vive.
All right, so the HTC Vive.
Getting a good vibe.
And there's not a whole lot to say about this. There is a really quick video right here of this dude putting it on.
What? It's like 10 seconds.
Yes, it's a 13-second video.
It's just totally teaser.
And it's over. There it is. And he takes it off. He's like, yeah, I'm a badass.
I just saw
virtual reality. Okay, so just a couple stats on this. So it's built by HTC. It's going to be powered by Valve's Steam VR platform. Okay. And one of the things I talk about this is to create an experience that spans the scale of a full room. To allow you more range of movement and allow you to actually walk around if you have space. So you guys might see these little tiny glass plates that are scattered all over this headset.
Yep.
Those are actually light receptors. So those work as part of a laser-based motion tracking system. Frickin' lasers, which I was hoping for, at least to some degree. Other than that, it looks like there's a USB 2 and a USB 3 on here, and an HDMI, and a power.
Okay.
Some plugs up on top. Looks super comfortable.
I wear that all day.
That's the one thing I say. Every time I see these headsets, I'm just like, this is this massive thing in front of your eyes.
I know. I can't wait till one day they're just like these.
Yeah, just like
these.
I'm going to put on my virtual reality headset.
It's all built into the wiring of the small PCB.
I'm in the Seychelles now, Kyle. Pass me a Mai Tai.
Streaming live to you from the moon.
Okay. What am I? Yes. And I think that's all I have to say about that.
Okay.
There's lots of pictures on this Verge article. That's one thing they go crazy with is like, man, look at all these pictures they have of this thing.
People love their pics.
All right, and there endeth the news bit. All right, so if you guys haven't been able to tell, we've been doing news at the end of part 1 and the beginning of part 2, so it's all news.
Right.
Does that make sense? It seemed to make sense to us somehow.
Before we go on to your next segment, I wanted to briefly let the viewers know to be on the lookout for any GDC news that might be happening in the next 10 or 15 minutes. Because apparently Paul informed me that there's supposed to be some huge news and some big announcement that will be revealed at 7 p.m. Pacific time at GDC.
We'll tell you this, but only if you promise not to watch it. You have to keep watching our stream.
Yes.
At 7, NVIDIA's having an event, and they're supposed to be announcing a product that they say has been 5 years in the making.
Right.
There's speculation that it's a tablet, and I haven't heard much more.
Oh, it's a tablet?
No, that's speculation.
Oh, okay.
There's speculation it's a tablet. There's speculation it might be some grid thing, like they're actually doing a grid launch to let people use it on a broader basis. Okay. So who knows?
But if you guys happen to catch wind of it, let us know in the chat. We can maybe mention it. And
you can use KB mod. Use KB mod multi-stream. See, Cal's repping the KB mod shirt today.
Rippin'!
And
my new KB mod shirt.
All right, let's move on to my next segment.
Yeah.
I like my next segment.
Oh.
My next segment is called Oh Joy.
Oh Joy.
So
what's that about, Paul?
So this is my new segment, and the idea here is that is to take all of the bad news,
okay,
put it all together.
Perfect.
So the Oh Joy segment gives you the worst news that we could find, at least somewhat technology
What a
related.
deceptive title for
And
a
then
segment.
also a key requirement of OJoy is that we are not allowed to provide any solutions to these problems.
So I can't be
These-
like, oh, but they could really fix it by
No,
this.
there's no bright
Okay.
side to this. This is just dismal and depressing. That is the entire goal. So let's start out, shall we?
So dark.
With this.
The darkest segment of awesome hardware.
This segment was actually inspired by Ars Technica today because I went there and I looked at their stories and I don't know, it just seemed like their top stories were just terribly depressing. All right.
That's what gave you the idea for the segment.
Freak flaw in Android and Apple devices cripples HTTPS crypto protection, right?
They use the C word.
There's a scary picture of a key in somebody's hands. So this is a
Scary.
Security experts have discovered a potentially catastrophic flaw for more than a decade has made it possible for attackers to decrypt HTTPS protected traffic between Android and Apple devices. So there's a bunch of stuff in here. It actually has an acronym called FREAK, which is short for Factoring Attack on RSA Export Keys. Basically, if you are susceptible to this attack, which means you need to be using an Android or an Apple device that is susceptible, which is a lot of them, from what I understand.
Right.
And then you need to be accessing a website that's also using these out-of-date security keys. Kyle, where are you going?
I have to go to the bathroom.
You're joking.
No, I'll be really quick. I'll be so fast. I can't hold it anymore.
So welcome to my new segment, which is apparently a recurring theme on awesome hardware, which is Kyle can't hold his pee. Now, if you watched last week, Kyle also left in the middle of my segment, which is why about, an hour ago. Actually, when did we start this show? 5:36? Well, I've been going for a while now. I told Kyle to pee, and I think he did. Apparently, he's got to go again. I guess that's just part of drinking beer. But anyway, this freak flaw in Android and Apple devices is terrible. You're probably susceptible to it. According to this article, about 33 or about a third of the websites on the internet are also susceptible. I'm sorry, 36% of the 14 million websites that use SSL were vulnerable to these decryption attacks. It'll cost you about $100 if you are a nefarious person and you want to pay ne'er-do-wells. About $100 and about 7 hours is what it takes to brute force this, and that's pretty terrible, and it's pretty widespread, and there's no solution, and that's the end of the story, I suppose. I should tell you guys something embarrassing about Kyle. Well, no, he's back now. See, it's too late. What are you doing? Oh, don't do that.
Why not?
So I was just telling everyone about how the world is about to end, mainly as a result of this freak thing.
What freak thing?
The freak thing.
The
freak flaw in Android and Apple devices.
Now, does freak stand for something, or is it just...
Yes.
Why is it in caps? Okay.
I read it. You were in the bathroom.
Sorry. Have a cookie.
My wife made cookies. They're
That's
delicious.
so good.
Now, lost my train of thought. So I know I said I'm not providing solutions, but I'm at least going to offer some advice, which is that at least for the time being, if you have an Android or an Apple device, don't use it to buy stuff.
Ever?
At least for now. Who knows how widespread this is. So here's a problem. There's these weak keys, right? These weak keys that were used for encryption. The Clinton administration actually required weak keys to be used by any software or hardware that was exported out to the U.S. It says out to the U.S., which doesn't make sense. So to satisfy this requirement, many manufacturers designed products that offered commercial-grade keys when used in the U.S. and export-grade keys when used elsewhere. There's a list of vulnerable websites. This Ars Technical article will be in my video's description when it's uploaded on my YouTube channel, so you can click on that and see the list of vulnerable websites. The good news here is that if you're using a Windows or Linux-based system, it doesn't seem to be affected, which is why I'm saying my immediate thought here was if you're buying stuff online or doing anything sensitive, don't do it on your phone or your Apple device.
Wow.
And maybe that will help. Okay.
All right.
Moving on in the Oh Joy segment.
Oh joy.
Oh Joy.
Oh joy.
This is my favorite story in today's Oh Joy segment. U.S. air traffic control computer system vulnerable to terrorist attacks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That sounds scary.
That's
a perfect article for this segment.
That's not scary in the least. The FAA didn't always ensure passwords were encrypted.
What?
When transmitted or stored. Transmitted.
Wow.
Not just stored, but transmitted. Here's a picture of an air traffic control tower, which is now under the control of terrorists. And then scrolling down here, we have an infographic, which we can also take a look at to give a little bit more insight onto this particular problem. Now, you'll notice at the bottom here on the ground, you have your air traffic control sites. Now, those are under the control of terrorists. Those are all communicating with the plane, which is up in the top, and telling the plane to do terrible things. But fortunately, at the very top, there's the satellites, which are intercepting these relayed messages from the terrorists. But those are also under the control of the terrorists, which means that we're all going to die.
What a great article.
Here.
So glad.
Okay, I'm perhaps going a little bit overboard on this. So here's the funny thing about this article. Ars Technica, I really like their website, and they have a lot of good writers, and I like a lot of the stories that they post there. This is a little bit inflammatory, because the actual article here, which is by the U.S. Government Accountability Office, is a little bit more reasonably titled. The FAA needs to address weaknesses in the air traffic control systems.
Okay.
So yes, there are weaknesses in the air traffic control systems. Now, Ars Technica took this and they inserted these theoretical terrorist hackers, right?
Wow.
Because if there's weaknesses, then they are obviously weak to the what inevitably will become terrorist hackers, because there must be terrorist hackers out there.
Yeah, sure.
And if there's something that's weak against hackers, then it's obviously weak against terrorist hackers.
So they're just speculating about something that hasn't happened yet that they believe has the potential to happen.
Yeah, like I said, they're inserting that the terrorist hacker thing was not mentioned in the original report, but that doesn't mean they're not out there.
True.
And they have control of all of our air traffic control towers.
We're all gonna die.
We're all gonna die. All right.
Cheery.
Moving on to my third story.
Do we have to end on that segment?
No.
Like, why does it have to be the
I have
end of
another
the
story
show?
here. So,
okay, good.
Lastly, in my Oh Joy segment, the Nintendo 3DS system update has shut off the web browser exploit that allowed tons of people to get Pokemon Shuffle freebies and region-free hacks.
What's Pokemon Shuffle?
So, Pokemon Shuffle has been, you could use the 3DS web browser to get around and execute this hack that basically made everything in the store free. So that you had this free-for-all of just getting stuff. But now, Nintendo has updated the 3DS, and that's no longer possible.
Oh, boo.
Now, perhaps this doesn't rank quite up there with the terrorist hackers who are controlling our air traffic control towers.
Well, it certainly does.
Nevertheless, it's something I wanted to bring to everyone's attention. However, that does it for the Oh Joy segment. If this is a segment that you enjoyed and you want to see again in future episodes, please let me know by hitting that like button and subscribing for future.
Who would want to see any of this?
That was so much fun.
No, I'm just kidding.
That was so much fun. All right.
It was fun.
Moving on to segment 3 for Paul's half of the show.
Oh, yay.
I'm so happy about this. All right.
Things get a lot happier from here on, folks.
It does. All right. So we have to get the negative stuff out of the way. We're bringing Swordfight back. That's right.
Okay.
Swordfight.
Want to briefly explain Swordfight to people who aren't familiar with it?
Swordfight, simply put, is we take some topics. I usually go with 2 that are at least somewhat controversial. And Kyle and I take opposing viewpoints on them. We'll even if it's something that's like one-sided and both of us agree that like this sucks or that doesn't, we'll take both sides and then we'll argue it for a bit. There's also a straw poll.
A stripple?
A stripple.
A stripper?
There's also a straw poll that goes along with this, and you guys will get to vote, and then we'll take a look at the votes.
All right.
I forgot last week to check the second time.
The second
straw poll.
That's
right.
right.
I put it out there, and I never actually brought it back up and showed the results. So sorry about that.
The long lost survey.
But it is still there.
Okay.
To some degree. All right, wait. I need.
So what do you got today for today's sword fight?
All right, so
Paul?
sword
what
fight.
topics are we going to debate on?
This is Sword Fight New Phones Edition. Yes,
New phones
that's
edition.
right.
Ooh,
Why is
I
it
don't know if I'll be
telling
able to
me
take
this?
either stance on this, as I'm not a huge phony.
You're not a huge phony. Well, that's
Is that a thing? I just said phony.
a phony? It could
Someone
be.
who's into their phones.
I don't know if you guys are going to be getting any...
MKBHD's a phony.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he's totally a phony. He's into phones.
Oh, yeah. See, you started talking, and then I kind of lost track of what you're talking about, and then...
You need to define this.
Okay, let me post this into the chat. Here's a straw poll. Wait, no, never mind. What the hell was that? What did I just post?
I don't know.
Oh, it was the Google link to the straw poll.
Ah.
Because, you know, when Google links something, you gotta...
Because Google.
All right, there's the straw poll. Now, this is the new phones edition, so if you guys weren't paying attention this week, we had a couple new phones announced. They're not available for sale yet, but we had, of course, the Galaxy S6, which has had a lot of buzz around it, and we have the HTC One M9. Now, everything I know about these phones comes from MKBHD, because the guy makes damn watchable videos. I'll give him that.
They're so watchable.
And yeah, so
watch the hell out of
so the Galaxy S6. There's a couple versions. There's S6 Edge. I'm gonna jump through this because I don't want to.
I can't believe he's already at 2.2 million subs.
Kyle, we're talking about the phones.
You're right.
All right.
Phone.
And I don't want to take too much
Tech
of
tubers.
So the S6 Edge, if you can't tell, has that edge that wraps around, so it's kind of curved.
So edgy.
Actually, does it on both sides.
Yep.
So he has a bunch of great footage of it, and the Edge is kind of fancy, but I don't want to talk about the Edge. The Edge was there for a note, or at least one of the notes that came out.
He has great hands.
Well, he's also got a really nice camera, which is cool. But no, what I want to talk about is did Samsung go in the right direction with the Galaxy S6? Because if you watch the video, there's some Galaxy S6 elements that don't seem to jive with what we've seen from the Galaxy series in the past. Specifically, they don't have, you can't open it anymore. It's an aluminum body design. It's glass on the front and back. It's very, very, very similar to an Apple phone. I've heard it, I don't know if it's Marquez or Austin, who referred to it as kind of like if an iPhone 4 and an iPhone 6 and a Galaxy S5 all hooked up and had a three-way love child or something like that. But there's no more removable or replaceable battery. There's no more micro SD card slot, so you can't expand the storage on it. And it's a very similar look and feel to the iPhones that we've seen in the past 4, 5, 6 years.
Okay.
So the question that I'm asking all y'all, and that you and I are going to debate right now, is did they go the right direction?
Ugh.
So one thing I will say about Apple, we haven't actually decided who's going to take which side of this, but one thing I will say about Apple is that when people have talked to me about it before, because everyone always comes up to me and says like, oh, you hate Apple, right? You don't like them. And I'm always like, no, if you enjoy Apple products and they get the job done for what you're trying to do, then use them, and that's cool.
Yeah.
I just can't help you repair them. That's the main issue. And I will say that the iPhones are really good phones.
Yeah.
I have not used one as a daily driver for myself, but I know many people have had. I've tried them out. They feel really nice. They're well built. They have a very smooth user experience.
There's a
they're
reason
really
why
good
they
phones.
just overtook Apple
Yes.
in the market share.
So, did Samsung do the right thing? Which side do you want to take, Kyle?
I will say,
Eat a cookie.
I feel like the easier answer is no, they didn't do the right thing.
Okay.
But I'm gonna. Yeah, they didn't do the right thing.
That's your argument?
That's not my argument.
That's your whole argument.
I will say they didn't do the right thing because it's just a shame to see them emulating Apple when so many people who buy their products do it because they aren't like Apple. Now, I do believe in innovation, and I do believe that a company should always try to progress and move forward, and not kind of rehash the same formula or the same strategy over and over. I feel like that gets old, and that's not how things progress naturally. So I think it's good that they innovated, but the fact that they are removing features, like, okay, there's a difference between removing features and innovating. They could have innovated all they wanted to, but the fact that they're removing the option for micro SD card and a removable battery, I mean, these are all the things that Android users for so long have touted over Apple iPhone users, that we have the option to do these things. And I feel like that kind of limits your functionality in a lot of ways for an Android device. Regardless of whatever benefits a unibody can provide, I think it's not a staple of the Android mentality, and the fact that it's even more like Apple than it has been in the past, I think is kind of like, it's almost how I get the same feeling as when Windows 8 was first launched, and when we started finding out about Windows 8, and I was like, they're making this so far away from the norm that it almost feels like they're trying to replicate Apple in certain ways, because they know Apple's on top, they know Apple has the edge, and they're trying to attract that core of demographic, but at the same time losing their own.
Technically, Samsung has the edge, but sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you eat that cookie, you deserved it.
It's delicious.
But I mean, that's virtually that's my 2 cents on it. I don't want to ramble on too long about it, but that would be my Swordfight attack.
Okay, so let me tell you why you're wrong. See, Apple, look how much money Apple has. Apple has ridiculous amounts of money. I don't even know how much money they have, I just know it's a freaking lot. Which means they have the bankroll to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And yet, what they have done is they have kept making phones and devices that fall within sort of a similar product range that we've seen them do for a long time, which is there's not a huge amount of diversity or different flavors or different varieties. They keep a pretty small product stack. And they focus on a look, a feel, and an experience above everything else. Which means that they don't want you to go in there and dig in and change things and modify things or anything like that. And that has proven for them to be a very successful strategy, because it's allowed them to gain a market share from a segment of the population that is willing to pay way more than what the product's value actually is when it comes to something like the cost of construction and everything. So what they've taken is they've created a device where the sum is more than, or the whole is more than the sum of the parts. That gives them more value, that allows them to charge more money, and that allows them to control the experience for the user so that the user doesn't get confused, because we know people are stupid and we have to keep them from getting confused. Now, Samsung has looked at this and they've said, look at that, look how much money they have, look how highly touted their products are, look how everyone sees the Apple, the iPhone as this, this paragon of smartphone technology. And they're like, I want me some of that. We tried to go the other direction for a while, and the
that's
S5.
Your argument? I want me some of that.
Yes, the S5 was crappy. So they're like, you know what? We're gonna take that strategy, and we're gonna create a phone that falls within that category, and we're gonna market it to those types of people.
Okay.
Now, I'm as a Samsung representative myself at this point in the conversation, hypothetically, of course, I'm hoping that you guys all forget all of the advertising that we did that talked trash on all of those things that Apple does to sell their phones. No one's going to remember any of that, though. All you're going to see is a Galaxy S6 Edge. Look at the edges. They're rolly. Rolly edges.
I wonder if the rolly edges, though, had something to do with the implementation of the unibody, and if that was kind of more of like, well, this is just what worked best for the Edge design.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I think they could have probably made it not unibody, but I would disagree with everything you said.
All right, we have made our points.
All right,
we're gonna see what you guys think.
What do we got? Ooh, it's split pretty evenly.
It's
close.
Close. So the majority, although within a very close margin, said no. The S6 has killed everything that gave it appeal in the first place.
Okay.
Although we did see 16 people say yes. Apple's phones are awesome. Now the S6 is awesome too.
Yeah.
And then I added a third result in there since I used Nokia.
You should stop including those, because I feel like people...
You're right, it does.
I don't think a third of our viewers use a Nokia.
I'll tell you what, for the next question, I won't do that.
Okay.
See?
Just force it down their throats.
See how on top of things I am?
Absolutely.
All right.
That was a good sword fight.
That was good.
I enjoyed it.
We have one more because there was more than one phone that came out this week. So let me paste this one into chat.
Ooh.
So this one's more focused at the HTC One M9.
I know even less about this phone.
Which Kyle knows even less about. So that's okay though, because I have a summary for you.
Okay.
First, let's check out a little bit of MKBHD right here. Wait, I'm pushing the wrong button. All right, so quality tech videos. So MKBHD taking a look at the HTC One M9, and just to sort of give a summary of what HTC has done with the M9, that's the M9 next to the M8, for example.
Okay.
They're very, very similar.
M9 on the right?
Yes.
Okay.
The M9, yeah, the M9's with the white thing on it. Now, so in this particular situation, what HTC has done is they've improved the internals of the phone.
Okay.
And they haven't done... There's some other things they've done as well. I'd recommend that you guys go over and check that video from MKBHD, because it's a nice little first look at that one. And it's actually a phone that I'm sort of considering. I've got my Nexus 6, which I'm cool with for now, but
yeah.
Who knows? So the M9 didn't change too much aesthetically. They have a two-tone color scheme now, which is slightly different. They changed some of the button placements. They've bumped up the internal specs on the hardware. So is it better to stick with what works because the HTC One M8 was a very popular phone? Or should they have done more innovation? Should they have changed things? Should they have done some sort of radical, moonshot or something like that? What's better? Sticking with what works?
Am I picking again?
You can choose. I need to...
All right. I'm going to kind of, in some way, contradict what I was arguing in the last sword fight.
That's fine.
I'm going to say I think they should have innovated more. Now, so there's a difference, right, between Samsung innovating to the point where they're almost emulating the Apple design.
No, that would be the question of whether it's emulation...
Emulation versus innovation.
Yes.
Yes. Emulation bad. Innovation good. Now, the fact that this HTC phone has not really grown as far as innovation goes... but you said the internal specs have all been amplified, right?
It's better. It's definitely a better phone, but
okay.
There's not a whole lot different with the design.
Now, see, I don't really know enough about the predecessor to assess whether or not any innovation was required. I mean, if it was really well reviewed and people said this is a perfect body for a phone, and I don't think they should change a thing. If that was the majority consensus, then I would have to agree with HTC and say, yeah, just upgrade the internals and you've got a solid phone. It's going to sell. Mm-hmm. However, if there were minor improvements that needed to be adjusted for future iterations that, there was a huge demand for the consumer, then I feel like they should have gone in and made those improvements, with all the R&D and the resources and backing that HTC has, those changes should have definitely been made.
Did I eat my whole cookie?
I might have
okay.
eaten it for you.
That's fine. Wait, so which side did you take there? I feel like you just argued both sides.
No, I did.
Did you just have a sword fight with yourself, Kyle?
I'm a Libra. I'm the scales. I'm balanced.
Okay.
All right.
In that case, I don't have anything to add, as Kyle has already...
You're right. I kind
put forth both sides of the argument.
I'm very diplomatic.
That's okay, Kyle.
Very diplomatic.
I will say, just to give a more honest, straightforward response to this, I guess, would be that I'm okay with this. I didn't get I only had an HTC One M8 once, but my wife had the HTC One original. It was a really good phone, and I like the front-firing speakers. Mm-hmm. There's a lot about it that was really good. So I'm okay with sticking with what works. I'm okay with... actually, the Fractal Definer 5, which is over there, is a good example of that.
Yeah.
It's not a whole lot different, but they took the things that people were saying, hey, this could be better, and they made it better, and I think it made a good case all around. So
nice.
There we go. And so endeth the sword fight.
Oh!
Thank you. Oh, wait, no, not quite yet. We need to see the results.
What do we get?
I keep forgetting that on the second...
Blah, 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 blah,
Let me refresh real quick.
Mana Geek said I sword fighted with myself.
You did. All right, results. And the results are again very close. Oh. I'm picking controversial topics.
Yeah.
So most people, it looks like we got a bit of a majority on people saying redesign, innovates.
That's what I said. That's what I was.
This is what Kyle said.
That's what I went with.
Yeah, so I will say that the redesign innovation is a great thing. I like companies that are large enough to be able to maintain an established product line while also sort of taking risks in there.
Right.
I would say like Asus would be a good example for me for that. Asus has kind of their standard product line of their mainstream motherboards,
Right.
and then they've got their ROG series, and I feel like the ROG series is where they kind of like, let's throw this in there and see what happens.
They're always inspiring innovation.
Yes.
I think that's their tagline.
I find they have persistent perfection. No, they've changed it now. Now they're searching for something. They're searching for...
That's what it's called? Searching for something?
No.
Asus. Searching for something.
The new Asus thing. It's not on here. What is it? It's like Asus is like in search of...
Oh, in search of innovation? In search of everything?
In search of... Asus, in search of everything.
I'll look it up.
Okay.
You carry on.
Kyle's going to look that up. In the meantime, we are on to our last segment of the second half of this show, which is Q&A. That's where you guys ask us questions.
Incredible! In search of incredible.
In search of incredible.
Oh! Almost had a heart attack. Cool. So Q&A.
Q&A, yes. So, guys, I have collected one question so far, despite all of my... No, I've been doing a poor job of it. That's the main reason.
Okay.
So we're gonna take a look at some questions on Twitter and on Twitch chat.
Excellent.
And we're gonna answer them as best we can.
Alrighty.
All right. So first question, and I'm proud of this question because I copied it like within the first 5 minutes of your segment of the show, which was hours ago now.
All right.
This is from Evil Killer, EVOL.
Sexy.
He said, "Paul, how's the Node 804 rig going?"
Oh, your HTPC?
Yes.
Nice.
It's a good question. That's my HTCP.
HTP. What?
What?
You said HTCP.
I said HTPC.
No, you didn't.
HTPC. That's what I
you
said.
All right. You just tell us in
Good
the
Lord.
chat now.
Okay. It's doing great. It's out there in the living room. The thing that I think I'm gonna do with it is actually take out half of the hard drives. I've got a 4-drive RAID 5 configuration with 4 terabyte WD REDs in RAID 5, which gives me about 11 terabytes of usable space, which is a lot, and it's awesome. And my wife has recorded, I think, 90 episodes of Pioneer Woman. That's where these cookies came from,
They're delicious.
by the way. Chocolate chip malted milk cookies.
With chocolate chips.
Yeah, like, oh my god.
They're delicious.
Yeah, but I think the power draw of it is a little bit higher than I'd like. So I think I might just take it down to just 2 drives and RAID 1.
Sure.
And then the other thing I discovered about it, so I felt bad when I first put it all together because I had this Blu-ray player, right, the little slim one that's in the front of it, and I had been trying to use it and it wasn't actually working. It was accepting the discs, but it wasn't showing up in the operating system. So I had to get the video done, so I didn't really mention that, but I was going to kind of bring it up in a later video. I discovered it actually is working. It's just with the way that you put the slim slot loading optical drive in the Node 804, it flips it the other way. So I was putting the disc in back the whole time. I need to put it in with the label facing away from me rather than facing towards me.
That's funny.
Other than that, though, it's great. I really like that little system. And
is it particularly loud when the drives spin up, or is it still pretty quiet?
You can hear them. I mean, it really depends what's going on.
Okay.
Like, if it's a really quiet scene, yeah, I mean, I can hear the system.
Because you've got a RAID 5 in there, right?
Yeah, it's because it's RAID 5. And mechanical drives, you're probably gonna hear them one way or another. But all right. So there's the first question. I think I had a Twitter question over here too. Kyle, you got any so far?
Yeah, I do. Someone was asking, is there any downside to a 2.5-inch drive with the same specs as a 3.5-inch drive? So I think he's talking about like mechanical hard drives. And to my knowledge, they're pretty much exactly the same except the form factor. So it really depends on the compatibility and basically the hard drive tray compatibility in your case. Some people who are building like smaller form factor rigs like HTPCs might prefer something like a 2.5-inch mechanical drive just because it's lighter, so it's more portable. If you want to take it for a LAN party or something like that, it might be a better option. But as far as I know, it's really just boils down to the dimensions of the drive itself.
Oh, you know what I should have done?
There's no additional performance gain with the smaller or bigger drive.
I've had the straw poll up on the screen for like the last 5 minutes.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm not on top of that.
Speaking of straw polls, I've also pulled up the results for what did you say? You in fact, 6 people said you said HTCP, and 2 people said you said HTPC.
I did not see that you had done a straw poll for that.
I did do a straw poll. I was very stealthy about it. So there we go.
I need to vote in that straw poll.
Recall. All right.
Jetboy71 just asked if my wife will ever show her face in a video. Maybe. I've asked her to. You can kind of see her in a couple of my my Nori videos, my Paul Dogtips videos.
Right.
She's very shy, so I'll ask her. I'll tell her if people would be interested. She's very smart and attractive, and I see no reason why she shouldn't be. But who knows? She's been playing a lot of World of Warcraft lately, actually.
Nice.
But she doesn't play it. She does the thing where you send your minions out on errands. I don't know.
She's just been.
I didn't know that they had that sort of thing.
Exploiting the mechanics of the game.
All right, Carlo or at Carlo Gutia says, I have a Maximus 7 Hero with only one channel memory that I scratched. Is it okay to keep it for a gaming computer?
What does that mean?
I don't quite know what that means, Carlo. By scratched. Now, if it's a Maximus 7 Hero, then you have 4 DIMM slots. If you're talking about the memory, I'm guessing you're talking about the motherboard.
Yeah.
If it's got 4 DIMM slots and you've damaged one of the slots, you can still probably use the other 2 in dual channel mode and still be just fine.
And if it's the plastic part of it, then you're fine.
Yeah.
But if it's like one of the connectors, then I mean you'll probably know if you install the memory in that DIMM slot, and if it runs properly, then you're good. If it not, then clearly there's something wrong there. But I think just the best way to test it really is to just stick a memory stick in there, and try one memory stick at first in that scratched socket, whatever it is, to see if it actually boots up and stuff.
Okay, Ratio55 asks, if you had a theme song that would play every time you walked into a room, similar to a WWE entrance, what would that song be? That's a good question.
Staying Alive, Bee Gees.
Really? Yeah, you go with some... You like funk, I've noticed.
Pretty funky like that.
Throwing the funk into the videos at different times.
Like that high energy, you know? Keep the flow. But that's like an impulse. That's like a blitz. That's like a blitz response. If I really thought about it, it'd probably be something different than that. That'd be like, no, it's really this song. But that's just the first thing that came to my mind.
I'd go with O Fortuna from...
You would.
From Is it Carmen? Is the... Carmen. Yeah, O Fortuna, I think, is probably what I would go with. Is that like a classic song? It's a classical.
Okay.
It's like the... No, 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 no.
Really? That's so like daunting. No one would want to be your friend.
It's a good thing we're not live streaming this.
Everyone would hate you. Every time you walked in, just like, fuck.
Paul's here. Gotta listen to the whole thing. The cannons are going. Is that one of the ones with the cannons?
Possibly. That's great. Good question. Mana Geeks asking, when are you guys going to try and get some guests on the show?
Guests. Good question. We've had a few people ask, and I know there's some people that we'd definitely be interested in bringing on, and we can definitely do a guest segment. That wouldn't be a problem. Our main focus right now is a camera that doesn't shut off every 30 minutes, which,
yes,
knock on wood, we've been doing all right with so far this show, but we're looking for another one. I think a guest invites other levels of complication into the whole production and of a live stream, right, which we're not unprepared for. We've done it before. I think we just want to get a little bit more comfortable before we start throwing that into the mix. We want to feel like we have things under control and like, you know, because we want this to be a good time. That's definitely something that's very important for me. I've been looking forward to Tuesdays for the past couple weeks,
right?
Because it's fun to like go and like look up the stuff and interesting and to talk and interact with all you guys. So it's a really good time. I want to keep it that way, and I don't want it to start to be something where I'm like, oh crap, there's so much work I have to do in order to get this going. I want it to be a reasonable amount of work.
Yeah.
Enough work that it makes it a good show, but not too much work that I hate it.
Yeah,
I guess that's what I'm coming down to.
I perfectly agree. Got another question from Selmore. Selmore Smith asks, what games are you looking forward to?
Games? Well, all right, so full disclosure here. After our discussion last week and our debate on Swordfight about pre-ordering games, I pre-ordered GTA 5.
Ho-ho!
Sorry.
Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust.
So you could look at it as Kyle won, or you could look at it as we had an intelligent discussion looking at the pros and cons and different facets of a dilemma, and we came out with an educated decision.
No, I like me winning.
Or Kyle won.
That. But so you got the in-game.
Yeah. Oh,
currency,
I got all
bonus?
I got all the in-game money. I got just as much in-game money as you have.
Wow.
1.3 million.
We'll just see how we spend it.
Whores.
Lots.
The ones
lots
no,
of
because those you don't really. No, you do have to pay for those.
You do. Yep. What if I just blew all my money on hookers, like in the first day?
That's so
what'd you do with your 1.3 million? I just went to the strip club. Just gone.
I just drove, picked
Life
one
simulator.
up, parked in an alley, and then I just left. I just left the system for like 8 hours. Came back, money was gone. Avatar was just lying there on his back, smiling.
Oh, I see. But cool. That's got to be the game that I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
GTA 5, April 14th. We've got a question. What type of keyboard are we using? I have a bunch of different keyboards. The one we were using.
The one on the show, or he's just asking me.
I want to give this one some time because this is a keyboard I have and I use and I like it, but I have not really done a video on it.
Yeah.
This is the Cooler Master. Good lord. This is a Cooler Master CM Storm Rapid Eye, quickfire Rapid Eye. It's a 10 keyless, which makes it a little bit more portable. So if you need to take it on the go or something like that, it's got nice white backlighting. It's not RGB or anything fancy like that, but I think it gets the job done. Looks pretty cool. Yeah. And this one has Cherry MX Browns, which is my favorite type of cherry switch, particularly. If I had a complaint. There are complaints about this plug here. It's USB. It's a micro USB.
Unclean!
And it's not quite as... No, actually, it's a mini. No, micro. I'm sorry. Micro USB. That could be sturdier, but I've taken good enough care of it so far to not have any issues with that.
You know, these aren't so bad when they have the right angle connectors.
The right angle ones, when it's under
out.
the board, yeah. But this one sticks out straight, and I could see that being... a problem. If I take it on the go, I unplug that and store it separately, and then it's usually okay.
Yep.
All right. I think at this point we should wrap the show up, guys. But thank you all so much for joining us. Now, what we've been trying to do later in the evenings on Tuesdays is do some gaming.
Yeah.
But we'll probably be doing that on our individual channels. My Twitch channel is Paul's Hardware. Kyle's Twitch channel is Awesome Sauce Network, right?
Yep.
Awesome Sauce Network. So it's probably not going to be for a good hour, maybe 2, because Kyle needs to get home and we need to eat dinner and all that good stuff.
Yep.
But check out our Twitters if you're not already following us, and we'll be tweeting to that and maybe playing some games with all y'all or anyone who's around and interested in joining. But thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to Kyle's channel. We'll be back next Tuesday with another awesome hardware, and buy shirts too. I guess we're supposed to keep talking about that. Yeah. We both have stores with shirts that you can buy, and they're fun. So
we got your back.
We got your back. Thanks for watching today's live stream, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks to everyone who joined us in the chat. Thanks for you guys for watching on the re-upload. Next week we're gonna have better image quality too. That's also in the works.
Promise.
Okay. Bye. Sayonara. I need to push the button over here.
Alright, screw this.
I hate doing this show. It's terrible. Terrible. Everything's terrible.
Are we done?
Yes.